Have you ever wondered what team you need to build out in order to have a great real estate investing career? Well, this video is for you. So, first of all, I want to say like having the right team around you is super important because they are your biggest fans. They're going to help you, they're going to push you, they're going to strategize with you, they're going to take your calls when you're frustrated. They are the people on your side. They are with you for the journey, right? And these people are not jumping off the bus. And when I say jumping off the bus, like I like to think of life as hey, we're all on this journey together, right? We're all on this bus together or a train. I like using a train. We're all on this train together, and there's gonna be people that come on the train and get off the train, right? And one of the things that I say is like, I want people that's always gonna be on the train for forever, right? Because this is a bullet train that's going 150 miles an hour, and I don't want to stop it, right? So it's really important to make sure you have the best relationships so you don't have to stop the train, right? Because then it's going to cause you to slow down and have issues. So the first person that's super important to building out your team is having a great coach or a mentor. A great coach or a mentor will help you, build out your knowledge. They'll help you, find deals. They'll push you. They'll really be your core advocate. They will help you. They'll be your ears. They'll be your eyes. And especially in areas that you don't even think might be an issue, they're there to help support you. They might even send you a deal or two, right? So, I know with our clients, we send them deals. So it's really cool that, when you see your student or someone that just bought their first BRRRR or their first short-term vacation rental. So it's super important to, have a good mentor. They need to be positive. They need to be upbeat. They need to be like, super like on time. I can't tell you like how important it is to be on time because when people don't respect your time, they don't really respect you or themselves really. So make sure you have someone that is on time. That's a good judge of character for any of these really. So the next person is having a good realtor or agent in that specific area. You need someone that understands the market, the local market, the macro market, as well as being an investor friendly realtor or agent, right? So having an investor friendly agent doesn't necessarily mean that they have investment properties, but it just kind of like they will start talking that language that you're hearing from your mentor or your coach, right? And it doesn't like I said, they don't have to have properties. I would say it is kind of important to, but it's not a defining factor for me because I believe that you cannot teach hustle, right? If someone is like ready to hustle, they're willing to outwork someone else, they're willing to learn, you cannot teach that and you cannot replace that versus someone that has all the knowledge and they don't want to really pass it out, or they have investment properties and they don't want to pass down their knowledge. Like I rather work with someone that has the hustle and has the drive and just the aptitude to wanting to learn. Like that is super important because you can figure things out together, and having a good coach and a mentor kind of helps you structure that so you can know what questions to ask them and you can work at it together. And what it does is it creates that partnership and it builds that, it kind of builds a friendship too because you're building a partnership with them. You're helping them learn and become exposed to real estate investing. And they're also helping you find deals, right? Because you're telling them what to do. And sometimes it could be easier to find someone that hasn't invested in real estate or really doesn't know the strategy, because then you can be like, hey, this is what I need from you. Can you go do it? And they'll be like, sure, because they think that's right. Versus like trying to teach an old dog new tricks. It's a little bit harder. The next thing is having good lenders. So in this category, like it just depends on what your strategy is, right? If it's a BRRRR, if it's a flip, if it's, a short-term vacation rental, you're going to want to have multiple lenders on this because certain lenders only do certain things well, right? So a conventional lender, for instance, like do Fannie, Freddie Mae products, typically won't have good portfolio or good hard money loans, right? So you want to make sure that you're choosing someone in that sector. So for conventional loans, I'd find someone who's a great lender, typical lender, Fannie, Freddie Mae products, and they could just find you a house and they can have a very smooth process through from start to finish, right? So especially good for your cash out refinances on BRRRRs or maybe even short-term vacation rentals, right? Especially if you're stacking strategies. The next thing is having a hard money lender. Hard money lender is generally going to be local and they're going to have like really good programs. They might be, like closer to a major city and whatnot, but they will understand that market. They will see what's going on so that they can lend better and more accurately in these markets Versus if someone doesn't know the market, it's a little more difficult to kind of convince them, especially if you have a hard money lender that is underwriting their own deals and they're looking at the comps that you send them. They're going to be less risk adverse, especially outside of their own city. So they generally want to stay in their own city. The next thing is having a local bank relationship. So if you are investing in, I don't know, like St. Louis, Missouri, right? What I would do is go to a local bank there. Go to a local bank and open up an account and say, hey, I'm a real estate investor. It doesn't matter if you don't live there, but at least you open up a bank account at a local bank, and they're going to have great products like, HELOCs. They're going to have great lines of credit. They'll have, like a mediocre, a lot of times like savings account and whatnot, like most banks. But the idea is that you're building a relationship with a local bank, and don't go to, and when I say local, I don't mean like, hey, go find a Wells Fargo in St. Louis. No, you're going to go find like Main Street Bank of St. Louis, Missouri, right? Like that's the bank that you're going to go to because they will have better products. They understand the town and they want to invest in their own town so that they can kind of grow their local economy, right? Local banks are really good for that. They're really good for business lines of credit. They're really good for HELOCs. They generally have better terms. So definitely look for that. So 3 categories in the lender: hard money, you're going to have your typical conventional lender, and you're going to have a bank, right? Because they're going to give you lines of credit. The next thing is having a contractor in that town. Having someone that not only understands the area, understands the market, but has good relationships with good subs. Because a good contractor, a good budget will make or break your project, right? You don't want to get into a situation where the contractor is not organized or not taking long. And what I like to do is I will actually test out contractors on my own projects, right? And I would say, hey, can I come visit you on one of your jobs? And if they say no, like that, like you don't want to kind of work with them because they're kind of ashamed. But if they say, yeah, sure, come along, it shows that they're organized, especially if they say it right then and there. It shows that they're organized, and talk to a couple of their guys that work for them and say, hey, how do you like working with blah, blah, blah? They are really good or they're really bad, or they might not tell you they're really bad right there, but, at least you can see the quality of work and you can see the attention to detail, especially when you're on site with a contractor. See how clean their job site is. Did they leave paint containers open? Did they leave, is there paint all over the floor? Is there drywall dust that needs to be cleaned up, right? And obviously it's going to be dependent on the type of work that they're doing, but, you can tell an organized job site, even in a messy situation, versus an unorganized situation, right? I had this contractor that was doing this painting, and then, he's just super unorganized. He's just the painter came in after the drywall guy, and the drywall guy had not been finished, and the painter came in and painted over the pre-sanded drywall. The painter didn't even use any what am I thinking about? He didn't use any primer, and it's that was super frustrating to me because I'm very organized and I want things done a certain way. So it's also important to educate yourself on a little bit about construction so you can kind of understand. And go to job sites, meet people, talk to people. And a good way to meet contractors is just going to job sites that are open and saying, hey, I'm a new real estate investor in the area. I'm looking to meet people. Your agent should also have relationships as well. They might have some good relationships that you can talk to. Talk to the banker at the local bank. They are also, going to provide you with options. And you see how all of these kind of build on each other. This is super important because, they all kind of help each other out and they all build on each other. So one relationship might lead you to a next relationship, right? So you never know where this can go. So it's super important to start out right. The next thing is having a designer or an architect or both, right? So generally, I like to use local architects because they kind of understand the ins and out of those properties because, they've been living there, they work there, they understand if it's, if it's drywall versus, mud on the walls, right? So it's super important to understand the wall compositions and what these properties have, right? If it's a new area, obviously it wouldn't matter as much. It should be metal studs or wood studs. But those are all things to understand, and the local architect will have that knowledge based on working on other projects. And those, you just ask them for their portfolio and say, hey, what else have you done in this area? We're looking to talk to an architect on this project or whatnot. And this is only if you need an architect or if you need a designer, right? Sometimes it's cool like to have a designer, especially if you're doing like a short-term vacation rental, because they will set up your property way above and beyond than anything else, like compared to your competitors, because most of your competitors are not using a designer. So we use a designer on our projects, especially our short-term vacation rental properties, because it just sets it miles apart. Like it is amazing, and it doesn't break the bank. Like if they understand like they need to work within a budget, they will do it, and they'll do an amazing job. So there's that. Next thing is property manager. If you're going to be holding on to these properties, you need to have a great property manager. And again, I would go back to the banker and say, hey, who is the best property manager in town? I'll go to the contractor and the agent and say, who is the best property manager in town? Take them out for coffee and say, first of all, don't ever ask one of these people to say, let me pick your brain, right? You always, if you haven't, read the book called The Go-Giver. The Go-Giver is super important, and what it teaches you is to give before you take. So you figure out a way to give them something, and subconsciously our natural tendency, if you're a good person, if someone gave you something or helped you out, maybe like randomly did an random act of kindness, right? You're gonna want to go out and create another act of kindness, right? Either to them or to someone else, right? So remember to always give. Don't ever say like I want to pick your brain. No, like you say, hey, like I want to understand certain things. Like I've heard that you're a new agent, and I just want to understand like what your process is. I've heard that you're a great property manager. I want to understand what your process is and what a good client is for you. And maybe, ideally you come with a referral for them, right? At the meeting, you come with a referral. So you show your value with all of these people. And so property manager, make sure you have one that is well-versed in the area, and ask to speak to a couple of references. Say, hey, I'm going to be buying X amount of properties in this town. Can I have some references? And they will give you references. You want actual like landlords that are clients, and you want agents that are clients of theirs. So you can see that they're getting referred and that the landlords are also happy. So I hope this helps you. These are just like some of the major people that I recommend having on your team and starting out with your team so that you could have a successful real estate investing career. I hope you liked this video. Hit the subscribe button below, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Take care.